Hi everybody, it's Annette with the Art of Intuition. Today we're going to talk about how we know if we are depleted, our soul body. A lot of people call it our light body. I usually call it my soul body. Even though there are a lot of aspects to that soul body, that's usually how I talk about it, but you will see it also referred to as your light body. How do you know when you're depleted? How do you know when you're contracting back down? So if you're in a very high energetic space, a very high vibrational space, a very high consciousness space, and we contract back down. How do we tell the difference when we're contracting or when we're just really depleted? Because a lot of times for me, I won't have, when I am depleted, I will have no inspiration. I will have nothing. It's like I feel completely, I don't also want to say disconnected, but I feel very disconnected. Even though I think I'm still connected on some way, I don't feel it as strong. I feel completely sort of out of touch, very lethargic. Sometimes if I get out in the sun and sun charge, because our soul bodies, they do kind of run on light. You get to a part where you really feel embodying in more sunlight. It does kind of charge our bodies up. If I've been around a lot of people that are a different vibration than I am, and that's not saying higher or lower, just not the same, and no one's really the same. So anytime you're around anybody, it's gonna affect your vibration in some way. I can get a lot more done when I'm by myself. And if I've been by myself all day or for a couple of days, I can get a lot more work done than when someone's around, because I have to sync out my field. And after that, it can get a little bit easier. But if someone is in a different space than I am, it can be very, very depleting. It's just consistently depleting. So that's how I usually can tell when I'm depleted, is I just don't have any motivation to do anything. Now, there's also a part of that. There's a zillion reasons why that can happen. Sometimes that's also because I'm also rewriting a template. So I'm going to say rewriting a future template of something that's going to happen later. I'm building up something else. And all my energy is going to that. And I'm in between frequencies. So I'm not picking up on the frequency I was before because I'm not really there, but I'm not quite at the next frequency. So I'm not picking up on any of that information. So I'm sort of in this in between where I don't have anything. And that can last for an hour. That can last sometimes. It's lasted for me for months. And there'll go a time, if you look back at some of the work I put out, I won't put out work for a long time because I don't have anything. And there's no point of just putting out a video that's just to put out a video that doesn't even say anything. There's not a lot of point to that. Because everything we say has to have a purpose. If it doesn't have a purpose on a soul level to say it, there's no point of saying it. Those are usually the tips that I am depleted or rebuilding a template. I kind of want to throw that in here. It feels important to say that. Sometimes that can be happening. And if we're not sure, you can always go inside and ask, am I depleted? You'll kind of know. I kind of know, because when I've been lethargic for a long period of time, I know I'm rebuilding. But if it hits me and I know I've been around a lot of stuff that's not in sync with me vibrationally, or I've given too much, you've kind of maybe overdone it, overworked, given too much of yourself in a sense, even though when we do a lot of, say, service work, humanity work, we do tend to kind of go, I gotta do more, I gotta do more, I gotta do more. And that in a sense is true and kind of not, because you're always kind of working. But you'll find that you will deplete until you can find the balance. Because when you're working on a soul body, it's not like the human body. I usually don't do too much on the difference between the soul body and the human body. There's a lot of people that really go in depth with that. There's a lot of, you can Google all that and get a lot more information. That's usually not, I would say, my sweet spot. It's usually not where I go. It's usually not where I connect so much. So if you want more information on that, there's tons of stuff you can read about, but they are different. You know, the human body, the soul body, totally different. And when you're living from the soul body, you do deplete. And it has nothing to do with, another way you'll know if you're depleted, what kind of food you want. because it still is a very physical process. If you want a lot of, I know when I want carbohydrates, macaroni and cheese is a big one for me. If I want kind of comforty foods, it means I want comfort and I'm depleted. And also means I'm reworking something. I need the carbs to kind of help me rework something. And when I'm not, and I'm in a different space, I'll want more like salad, greenery, fresh stuff. And because I'm in a different phase. But if I'm eating a lot of those things, I also know I'm kind of depleted and my body's depleted, trying to rebuild and also trying to rework. And it needs me kind of lethargic to do that. So that's kind of depletion. I know I kind of went sideways on that, but that's sort of how I know I'm depleted. When I'm contracted, when I've been really expanded, and a lot of times that's the part of the process. We're really expanded consciously and we contract back down, and then we have to look at all the things in our world that don't match our new consciousness. We're trying to embody in a new consciousness, and everything that's not aligned with that has to go. Part of that purifying out those things. That's why we embody in those consciousnesses. I don't know if that's a word. That's why we embody in that consciousness so we can see what's not aligned with that. So we can then hold it. We can't hold it if we don't clear out everything that's not it. So I contract back down and go small. I can tell when I'm doing it because I'm in my head about it, and I have a lot of stories about it. You know, I'm just in like a loop. I've got all these stories about what's going on, why I should keep certain things around, why this is going to happen if I don't, why that's going to happen if I do. You just will feel yourself almost smushed in a sense because you're just so in your head. Everything's from right up here. You just can't sort of get out of it. Because a lot of times when we know certain things have to shift or they're going to shift, we get usually it's going to get taken out anyway if it's not aligned with where we are. There's no way we can stop it. A lot of us will try to stop it, and we'll know we're very contracted when we're trying to control it. We're trying to take a very organic process of consciousness and raising our consciousness and control when it happens and control when it doesn't happen, control who it affects, who it doesn't affect, what part of our life we want it to affect, what part of our life we don't want it to affect. Because we don't want it to touch this, but you can take that because I don't really care about that. Our human will be very like, you can take that. I don't really care about what happens with that, but not this over here. They're just as distorted, but for whatever reason, I like that better than that. So when we're contracted, we have a lot of story to it. So if you got a lot of story going on about what's going on, you're contracting back down. You're going small. You're playing in a lot of the old beliefs, old programming. And a part of it is you've expanded to the point you can see it, but we have to kind of be able to see it. Even though it's playing for us to see, that's one reason we contract back down, so we can then see it to clear it, because we can't hold that until we clear it. Hold that consciousness until we clear it. So just look at what's going on when these moments happen. Depletion, contraction, they can be kind of similar, but there's a lot of distinctions there. Look at what you're trying to control. Maybe it is your food. I talked a little bit earlier about food. Are you trying to control the food? We all do that as humans, trying to control the food. I'm going to eat this, I'm not going to eat that, because of different reasons. If my body wants something, I'll eat it. I've wanted chocolate for the last 8 months. I have kept chocolate chip companies in business. I could tell you how many bags of chocolate chips I've eaten during the pandemic. Because my body's needed it for whatever reason. Usually that's more opening up the pineal gland and opening up the intuition and just, sugar a little bit too, the light body, our soul body. But look at if it's control in it, you're contracting back down. If you're believing the story, if it's a story to it, that's always our programming. There's a human story to it, we're contracted. If we've been doing a lot, we've been around certain things that are depleting our body, you're depleted. Just look, feel into it. You'll be able to tell the difference. If you got too much going on in your head, you'll know what you are already. So, good luck everybody, and keep practicing the art of intuition.